Hey guys, Cameron with CBM Reviews here, and I'm reviewing a new release that happened actually earlier this week that completely caught me off guard. I didn't even know it was supposed to come out. And before I get to this, I want to give a huge thank you to the YouTube channel Courtshake. Courtshake is a Canadian YouTuber that does movie reviews, not just some of them, but quite a few of them, almost all of them. He even reviews indie movies and things like that. And if he hadn't reviewed this, I never would have known this came out. So a big thank you to Courtshake if you're a fan of movie reviews. I'm going to put his channel in the description. But I am reviewing the Lego DC movie Shazam! Magic and Monsters. This movie was directed by Matt Peters, and it stars Sean Astin as Shazam, but Zach Callison plays Billy Batson, and you have literal voice acting royalty like D. Bradley Baker, Troy Baker, Greg Griffin, also known as Grey Delisle, Jennifer Hale, Josh Keaton, Tom Kenny. You get the gist. The big guys are here to play. And this tells the story about Shazam and his humble beginnings. And if you weren't aware, this is actually a continuance from the last one that came out, which was Batman Family Matters. I'm not going to dive into what happened in that movie, but I will post a link of my review there. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, but I'm also not going to grade this. I'm just going to give kind of story, a few takeaways that I have from it, and then my overall gist of things, so stay tuned. We're about to get started, but I want to say a few things. Number one, thank you so much for clicking on this video. It means a whole lot to me. And sorry for the long intro. I wanted to give Courtshake a quick shout out. If you could do me a huge favor and click that like button down there, it raises the visibility of not only this video, but my whole channel. If you're a fan of this sort of thing, comic book movie reviews, TV show reviews, sometimes I have con footage, click that subscribe button. And if you want to know as soon as I put anything on this channel, click that notification bell. You'll know as soon as anything is uploaded. This is a Lego movie, so first and foremost, right off the bat, I have to say this. This is not aimed for me. And I didn't think that it would be right for me to watch this just by myself, so my son watched it with me, and he enjoyed it for the most part. He didn't really get super excited because he kept on getting distracted with his iPad, but he had a good time. This is the story of how Shazam kind of gets started in the whole superhero gig. He met the wizard at the very end of the last Lego DC movie, so now this is him first getting to stretch his legs, and there's a lot of Superman homages in the first 2 minutes. Like, he has scenes from classic poses and classic covers, and at first I was like, you guys should find a Shazam comic book cover to copy, right? That would be good. But anyway, it's fine. And this actually turns out to be more of a Justice League movie than a Shazam movie. There's a lot of Justice League in this, but the focus is still on Shazam and Billy Batson. The story mainly tells how Shazam has to open up and be honest with the League, even though they may or may not approve of him being a kid. The only way that you can trust somebody or find out if you can trust somebody is to trust somebody, and that's kind of like how it goes. And I don't want to tell that much more about it, but to get down to it, this is definitely for kids. There are moments where things happen and they are very Lego based. It's like they're trying to sell toys, which that's the gig. The story's actually pretty good. I would say this about it. As I said, this is definitely for kids. If your kids are superhero fans and some of the PG-13 movies are a bit much for their age range, this is a perfect movie for them. It has the classic villains that we're seeing, some of which were seen in the Shazam movie that came out last year. It also has all of the Justice League, so you get those characters, but it's not in a live action or animated version. That's too much for their little ears, if you remember all the S-bombs and things like that were dropped. And then, it's not too violent. It's good for younger audiences. But there are a few things that an adult will appreciate in this. If you're an animation fan, you will like it for the most part, especially if you are a Steven Universe fan. Not that they have a direct link or an homage to Steven Universe, but Zach, who was the voice of Steven, whenever he does any kind of yelling as Billy Batson, he sounds just like Steven Universe. And so it's just like, oh, you know, because they're both altruistic little kids and they have these powers. And I was not a fan of a few things. Superman is way too corny for my taste. Good for kids, too corny for me. Batman, there's a moment where all the main Justice League members, something happens to them, and whatever happens makes their voice change, but it doesn't change with Batman. Batman just, it sounds like they sped it up by like 3%, so it doesn't really do much for me. I wish he would have sounded a little bit more adolescent. That's not bad on Troy Baker. That's just, he was doing his job. He's a great voice actor. The villains in this, some of their motivations aren't exactly concrete. Some of them are just being mind controlled. Some of them are doing things because they're hearing voices telling them to do things. There's one villain that his motivations are clear, but we really don't see this villain until the last third of the movie. And if that's your main villain, I really wish I could have seen more of him earlier in the movie. He's only talked about with like some flashbacks, his backstory's given, and then everybody gets to fight him at the end, which, yeah, he's pretty formidable. I'm looking forward to seeing him on the big screen. And lastly, there is a mid-credit scene which I wasn't expecting, but it made me laugh, and it made me wonder, are they really going to use this as their next Lego DC movie? I would be highly surprised if that's the direction that they go in, but I'd actually be more excited to watch that than I was this. Not saying that this was bad. I'm just, yeah. Really? Lego? Overall, this movie it's great for kids. Your kids can watch it if they're superhero fans. They'll enjoy it. As I said, this is not aimed for my demographic, so I'm not going to give it a score. But if you're a parent looking to find something to keep these kids entertained for an hour and 20 minutes, you can get this rented on Amazon Prime for $15, and they'll enjoy it if they like superheroes. You know, it's got Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash. There's a Green Lantern that you may not recognize, but overall, it's not important that you don't recognize her. It's important that they don't bother you for an hour and 20 minutes. So that's my review of Lego DC's Shazam! Magic and Monsters. Tell me what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this movie, hit that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and share this with your friends. As always, this is Cameron with CBM Reviews. We'll see you next time.